Boom! Back in the room. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. Glad you could join us. Let's have a shout out who's in the chat, because that seems pretty busy tonight. I see Crispin's in early. Hello, Crispin. Who else have we got? I think
Pandy was first in, but
Pandy was in early doors.
His proper name.
Yeah, another name change. Name change is the theme for the evening, everybody. Crispin's changed his name live in the chat. Jesus Christ. So, hello, Pandy. Hello, Demon Sub. Darren. Hello, Crispin, stroke because of Ben. If anybody doesn't get what Crispin's on about with letting go of his love, then you need to go across, join the Tabletop community on their Discord channel, and all these in-jokes will make so much more sense.
Bastard.
Evening to Upworlder. That's Trevor from our local club, eating to spam an egg. That's David's other half, for those of you that don't know.
Is she here?
Yeah, she is. She's shouted out. Hello, cheese me, sir. Hola, as you say. Hello, Chris. Good to see you, mate.
She is here.
Another previous of our club who we don't see so much anymore. Hope you're good, buddy. Yeah. So, good evening to one and to all.
Is that because you're going to stop stalking him, Crispin?
No. No, that is not going to happen. I imagine the love-hate relationship will will continue until Crispin gets 50,000 golden buttons. Crispin wants a golden button every week for the next 2 years. Even if he doesn't. Let's not get carried away, definitely. Oh, dear. So, yeah, good evening to everybody. If you're joining us later on YouTube, good evening to you as well. Welcome to our regular Thursday night hobby live stream. So I haven't seen. I know we're going to be following our usual format. So first off, we're going to show you what we're going to be hobbying on. Second, we are going to tell you what we did at club on Monday night. Then we've got a couple of bits of news. We'll have a bit of waffle, interact with the chat, talk a bit of crap. Around 9 o'clock, we'll roll around to our main topic, which focuses around the sweet spot of player count. Because obviously David and I have started branching out and playing a lot more board games in the last year or two. Yeah, usual format means get your bingo cards out, because there'll be technical difficulties, ragging the shit out of David for not playing his Assassin's Creed. It'll basically be a whirlwind storm of in-jokes for about 2 hours. So brace yourself and buckle up. So yeah, we've been playing a lot more.
We're just here to bully me.
We've been playing a lot more board games over the last couple of years, haven't we, mate? And we thought we'd talk about player count, because it's already a thing. If anybody is watching this video,
it's huge in board games.
It is, yeah. If you're a primarily board gamer, you will know exactly what we're on about, because it's like it's in the DNA of that.
And unfortunately becoming a thing for wargaming.
Which we will tack. Hello, Rich D. Good evening, sir. There we go. You see, what about Assassin's Creed? Didn't take long. Like buses, they're along predictably as per the timetable. So,
they're clearly not buses from the UK, because only one has arrived.
Yeah, but to be fair, that'll probably be the only one tonight. So that is
true. Well, actually, am I trying to get on a train? Is it a replacement?
Evening, JJ. So. Oh my God!
Assassin's Creed needs to be painted.
They're all waded in now.
Crispin.
Okay, right. So this is a hobby stream. So David's already beavering away there with his little paintbrush, like some little teacher's pet gremlin. Now, Darren, you've just said that we will be mentioning that later, cheese me, but yeah, definitely a sad news story of the week. this is a hobby live stream.
Why
So
did
get yourself a paintbrush, get yourself some models or terrain, and get cracking. If you're in the chat, shout out in the chat what you're working on tonight. Darren's just said he's finished watching a movie. Does that mean you're not actually doing anything productive with your time, Darren? That seems odd, as you are as reliable as the sun rising in the east. When it
Upworlder, you can make in-jokes when you have miniatures painted. Just fucking saying.
Oh yeah, my 20 quid. Actually, I don't need that. He's off the hook. I don't really need my 20 quid. I had a windfall. But
yeah, but you've already spent it all, and hopefully the boys and girls next week will realise what you've spent it all.
We'll talk about it in the waffly bollocks section more, but I have spaffed my windfall already, or most of it. Oh, has it? Cheese me. I've missed that. Oh yeah. So...
Hang on, you've got V3 rules a good 7 days before it's released. What is this sorcery?
Is it? Well, maybe Cheese me's got the inversion of the UK. What was it you were waiting on, Cheese me, that had already been delivered here?
Worms.
Oh yeah, worms, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah. Funnily enough, Darren says my battle systems terrain pledge arrived yesterday, so I'm punching that out and have a mountain of card. So that is from the Maladum Kickstarter, presumably, buddy. So did you just go terrain only for that? Just checking. Because I took delivery today of mine.
Trevor, Malifaux is what? 10 minis?
Okay, sweet.
I'm currently slaving away through 60 worms.
Yeah, David's got a bad case of worms. Rich says I had worms once in Germany. So yeah, Maladum Kickstarter has delivered. 8 months late, but we got there.
You can't math.
What was it, January, and it's now September? That's 8 months late, isn't it? 9 minus 1.
I thought it was meant... No, I don't know. We'll call it 9. Call it 9 between friends.
Here we go. Right, do you want to go first with what you're working on as you're beavering away, teacher's pet?
No, not particularly, because I'm currently painting teeth and struggling, so off you bug.
Right, I'll go first then. So where are we? We are here. Let me go first. Get the old camera in position. So, I have finally got around to putting the stain on my barbed wire terrain pieces that I 20-sided Gamified has a podcast tomorrow. Okay, Pandy, what's the deal with 20-sided Gamified? That I'm not familiar with that. Is that a channel on YouTube, or do they do podcast only? I have finally got around to putting the wash stroke stain stroke shading on this barbed wire stuff. What I'm going to do now is basically just painting the wire strand with quite a dark metallic. I might dry brush some weathering on it, but it's only fucking terrain, so I might not be arsed. Basically, I want to paint the wire strands on these. I've got about a dozen of these to paint up now. And then I'm basically a bit of PVA glue, bit of grass flock, static grass and flock and tufts and shit to make them look a bit organic on the base, and we will have ourselves barbed wire, about 48 inches of barbed wire to play in now by Games of Bolt Action. So that's what I am on with tonight. A nice brainless job that I can do, hopefully, while keeping the stream running. Upworld is saying something about, I'm guessing he's saying he's done unless he's got anything catches his eye in Partisan. Partisan is twice a year, Trev. It's March, April.
October 13th.
Yeah, is it April, May, and then October time? September, October?
When did we go?
I can't remember.
No, it was after Dicini, but before Expo, so it must have been May.
Yeah, it'd be May then, because Expo was June, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, they do have 2 partisans a year.
And we sat there bitching and bemoaning the fact that there was 1,000,001 fucking shows on.
Yeah, the 2 partisan shows do have a slightly different emphasis, though. I think the one earlier in the year, is that the one that's less historical, and the one later in the year is the one that's more historical focus? They do have a different
vibe.
Different vibe. That's a good way of putting it. Brokeback parties. Oh my god, it's just a storm of fucking.
It's not jokes. Brokeback partisan when spams come in.
So what's this?
Not like that. Before that gets fucking clipped. Jesus Christ! I just walked into that one. Sorry, spam.
What's this?
Love you, babe.
Hang on a minute. I've just got to scroll back. So 20-side game fired. So, cheese me. How did you get?
Yeah, because we've got the gang going to partisan, haven't we? We've got me, you, Rich, Spam, and Trevor.
Quite, my God, it's going to be a mad gang. So I'm guessing that Pandy is going to be on that podcast. Am I reading that right, Pandy? Is that what you're saying? You're on that podcast, buddy. I don't know if it's a live one and whether you're going on it tomorrow, but good luck if you are, sir. Hope it all works out great.
Oh, I've just seen Spam's reaction to Cheese Me asking if she's coming.
Oh my God, we've got orgy. It's getting so degenerate in the chat. Holy shit. Right, go on, mate. Show off get your worm out. Get your worm out.
Oh, I've got my worms out. Let's go, bitches.
So it's recorded already. Okay, mate.
Tonight we are mainly painting teeth.
Spam touching your nose.
And other miscellaneous items, because nice. I did the eyes on these last week and some of the metalwork.
Yep.
I've got a few more detaily bits to go into, so I've got to paint like the trigger on this landmine and the eyebrows and dot the eyes. But
jeez, mate. He's familiar with that size of worm.
Back in your box, Cheese Me. Back in your box.
Okay, now.
Oh, actually, Spam's driving, and it's Mia that's typing.
So we got.
Hey, Moo.
We got. Okay, right. Anyway, Bagsy cameraman. Oh my God. Are those worms racist? What do you mean? Why?
They're all one colour.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, the only one that could technically qualify as a token inclusion is this guy with the greatest fucking.
Actually, you missed it. You absolutely missed a trick there. You should have painted him with Afro-Caribbean skin. That would have been mega.
To be fair, I can still go in and paint.
Yeah, you should do that. Skin. You should do that, buddy. Before you do
same way that I should have painted this Scottish guy really fucking pale.
Yeah, like white with ginger hair.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So yeah, tonight I'm mainly working on the core stuff. Mainly working on like painting the missile launchers, teeth and eyes, and then tongs as well is mainly what I'm working on. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. And I will be taking them next week because, boys and girls, next week, slight spoilers, I'm not here.
Yes, David.
I'm away on holiday.
David's abandoning us. You see, this is Spam's bad influence. She's taking it on her way and abducting him. So
I'd hardly say walking in the Lake District is abduction. But if I don't come back, everybody now knows where to look for me.
Yeah, that's true. They put it on the internet. Sort of like, is that like a cry for help disguised?
What is it? Blink, 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 blink once or blink twice?
Yeah, blink twice if you're in trouble. Yeah. So next week there will be no David, but hopefully I will not be on my own, as I should have, all being well, a certain German co-pilot with me, Mr. Some Dude on YouTube, stroke Tim, will be hopefully in the co-pilot seat, as I say, co-hosting with me. We're not quite sure what we'll be doing yet, but we'll keep your eyes on our Instagram or our Facebook, one or the other. We'll put up, as usual, we'll probably put up the thumbnail either late Wednesday, early Thursday for the show, and it should be a good one. Looking forward to having a chat with Tim. Always interesting, and he's a
chat some German bollocks.
Yep, he's a great character, and as I'm sure you guys, for those of you who do not know, and we will mention it again on Thursday next week, of course, but Tim does his primary stream on Twitch, but he does upload the VODs to YouTube, so you can find him on YouTube as Some Dude on YouTube. I'm not sure what his Twitch profile is. One of these guys could probably...
Sundancer GE, isn't it?
That's it, Sundancer GE. Yeah. So somebody put that in the chat, because I'm sure you guys will know what his channel name is. But as I say, I'll make sure it gets mentioned again next week as well. So yeah, that's going to be the plan for next week.
I'll be here and lurking and heckling from the back. Yeah. Just saying. I'm not going to let you get away
the brown
with it.
Lemonade ready. I'll try and get some what I think's exotic. I'll probably get some Weiss beer or something so I can get into the mood. Because I am partial. I do like German beers. That sort of like yeasty, authentic taste. Not clarified and polluted with a ton of bitter chemicals. Just good old beer. So I'll probably get myself something nice to tipple while he's here.
Gonna have
some.
Yes,
yeah.
I will be, Cheese Me, because I'm going away on holiday. I'm packing my worms and my painting shit with me, and Spam is also bringing her, what's it called? Game of Thrones stuff. So next Thursday, we will be heckling from the back, joining you fuckers for a hobby live stream.
Yeah, so no, there will be no Jerry, as Jerry's that could be just too much trouble to have on my channel in one go. Jerry and Tim sounds like a bit of a nightmare. Although
sounds like herding cats.
I won't rule it out as a Christmas special if I can swing it, because I think we've done it twice now, and it was bloody good fun having those guys on. It's a shame we don't see Jerry more, but obviously he's very much fallen out with YouTube. I'm not going to say he's wrong, but when YouTube went through that period where it introduced an embargo and ad blockers and started blocking people's browsers, he was basically like, no, okay, fuck you, I'm out. And he doesn't do YouTube anymore.
He does YouTube for work, yeah.
Yeah, but that's because it's his job. And if he said to, the on tabletop team, yeah, don't upload any of my videos to YouTube, they'll say fuck off. Just go in front of the camera and shut up. But
get off your soapbox.
From a personal point of view, he's very much done it. Okay.
I officially hate ivory.
Yeah, Vallejo model color ivory. Anybody got any opinions? David's not a fan, and I don't like it particularly. I'm hoping it's one of the colours that gets a massive revamp when the model colour
Improvement.
lane the model colour range is fully relaunched, because the existing mix separates like a bitch and is total shat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Vallejo model colour ivory paint, Trevor. Yeah, don't. Honest, if Darren, don't buy the old version. Obviously, if you get the reformulated one, which will look like that. If anybody can see, that's the new formula model color bottles with the clearer plastic, the different cap collar arrangement, and the label. This is the reformulated model color range. Maybe give it a try in that one, but don't buy the model color range is what, 170, 180 paints. Not many of them are utter dog shit, but that is one of them. The other one that is utter dog shit is the silver. Do not get this. There are so many better metallics, bright metallics. Again, doesn't mix very well. It's full of fucking mica particles the size of my head. So when you paint it on, it effectively looks like your model's made out of silver sandpaper. Utterly shit paint. Do not use it.
See, I don't mind the silver.
AK, yeah, good paints, Pandy, good paints.
I'm painting baseball bats.
Yeah, they are, Darren. Our local discount store boys has got, when its replen is coming from the new range in the new bottles, buddy. So they're definitely out in the wild. The only thing is, obviously, again, you're probably going to find a lot of sellers are clearing through old stock. So it might be another couple of months before you can reliably get the new formulations.
And you may still, on certain colours, be fucking waiting a while.
Yeah, so, but yeah,
they're not overly popular.
They're definitely out there in the wild. So let's tell the boys and girls at home what we did at club. So, as we're trying to work our way through the Red King campaign for Frostgrave, we had another session at club on Monday.
The Red King can go fuck himself.
This was scenario 5, I believe, out of 12.
Yeah, the Red King needs to go fuck himself.
So we're nearly at the halfway point. It was fucking brutal as usual. I had one death, didn't I? I've lost one more warband member, and then I've got another one that's.
Who did you lose?
I lost my apothecary, didn't I?
Oh, yeah, you did, didn't you?
And I've got
your apothecary got murder hoboed,
and I've got one of my scum thugs. That's on
your
miss next game as well.
Next game, didn't he?
So yeah, we did get brutally hashed as again, but we're playing the Red King campaign, which is one of the Frostgrave supplement books. I think it's the first supplement that was released after they changed to 2nd edition. Feel free to fact check me, guys. But I think I'm right. And it says in the beginning,
Trevor, the very next game, because game 6, Ricky is playing all on his Jack Jones. Game 7 onwards, we can't get any more new shit.
Yeah, I'm fairly
sure.
But
Paul can't even afford to replace his fucking apprentice at the moment. Yeah, so Paul's shafted.
Yeah, my apprentice died about mission 2, so I'm running solo wizard and then some chumps. So basically, I'm playing the game on hard mode, but we are sort of doing it as a 3-way cooperative experience. Because obviously it's such a hard scenario and our warbands are low level. We're trying.
In future, Paul.
Yep.
When I make a suggestion that people on the internet say you should really be like level 20 for this shit, can we please listen to the people on the internet that have played the campaign before?
No, it'll be fine.
It fucking isn't fine. You're living proof that it's not fine.
To be fair, though, I'm building up a good collection of models and terrain, so there is nothing to stop us just replaying it again when we've got some more powerful warbands established. Which might be good fun to actually do it as a bit less of a brutal experience. But the good way, I mean, look at it this way: at least it's giving us a good excuse to try Frostgrave as an almost fully co-op experience. And I'm enjoying it, and we have done a
It's
stream on
certainly
it.
not bad.
We have done a full stream on it. If you go back and check our
back catalogue,
yeah, I think it's probably about 2 months ago, something like 6 or 8 videos back. There's one there about should Frostgrave be a co-op game? And yeah, we're enjoying it. It's a different way to play Frostgrave. It's bloody good fun. And like I say, because the scenarios are so bloody hard, it doesn't feel bad, does it? It doesn't feel like we're cheating the game. It just feels like we're struggling for our lives, which is fine.
It's fucking brutal.
But we had a reasonably, I mean, apart the casualties were pretty rough, but we didn't have a totally unsuccessful scenario. I managed to get 1 chest off. I nearly got 2 treasures off, but then I got killed literally at the edge of the board.
You got stone troll to the face.
Yeah. So I only got 1 of 2 off, and then of course when I rolled for my treasure, I had to roll 1 on the d20, so I just got a fistful of gold coins. And so yet again, my poor old warband continues to fucking basically languish in the doldrums.
Are you got your little fucking beggar's cap out for that warband? Because I think you fucking need your beggar's hat.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'll be having a whip round asking you guys to bail me out. I think when we get to the later missions, I'll be after asking you for lenses.
Well, at that point, it'll be too late.
Can I have some gold to buy myself an apprentice again?
Well, don't forget from scenario 7, we're locked inside the city.
Yeah,
you can't go buying shit.
No, we got to make do with what we've got, which will be fun. So yeah, but yeah, that's what.
Not too much of the campaign left for you then.
To be honest with you guys, I thought I would be knocked out of the campaign in this mission. I was so close to having my wizard cark. I thought this will be it. No wizard, no apprentice, no money to replace either. I was thinking this will be this warband dead. But no, we managed to survive by the skin of our teeth. Because actually my wizard was taken out, wasn't he? But I managed to, I didn't get a bad
rolled like a 9 or something, yeah. Didn't you? You literally just fucking passed not getting badly wounded.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
That is surprisingly a thing.
I'm too busy painting. What's the guy saying in chat?
It wasn't wraiths. Fucking the amount of wandering creatures. Surprisingly, Paul was struggling with an undead skeleton. I don't know what you were doing there, but it was handbags at dawn for several turns.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is all of my good. I've only got 1 man at arms left who's even half decent at combat. Everybody else is going to be fucking. He's basically just an absolute chump.
Hey, you got crossbow, man.
Oh, that's true. Yes, no, that is true.
Not that he could hit a fucking barn door this week. Fucking two stone trolls, and you still couldn't hit them.
Yeah. Darren says, "How are they? Do they still dry different brightness from when they're all wet?" I'll be honest, Darren. I haven't tried any of the new formulations yet. The only one that I've got is brass. I think, yeah, brass. And again, the metallics aren't too bad for that. It's some of the other colours in the range. The greens and the grey greens do change colour quite a bit from wet to dry.
Where's Ewok when you need him? Because I'm painting his favourite colour right now.
So yeah, shall we just? So that's what we did at club. The Frostgrave drama continues, and it's bloody good fun. As Darren has said in the chat back there, Frostgrave is an incredibly flexible game. It's incredibly
If you haven't played Frostgrave and you're watching this shit, what are you doing with your life? Go try it.
Yeah, you can basically play with whatever miniatures you like. I'm currently using the Dungeons and Doggies models from
Me and you
Steamforge.
need to take a trip over to Spalding Wargaming Club at some point. Because
Why?
have you seen their Carnivale table?
Oh no, I haven't.
It's fucking gorgeous, dude.
Right.
It was on the Carnivale Facebook group today.
Right, okay.
As well.
We will have to do that. Are they using TT stuff, or have they done something?
Yeah, they are
print?
using TT stuff by the looks of it.
Mate, we will have to do that. I didn't realise Carnivale was big over at that club.
I don't know if it's big, but we've got a perfect excuse if there's a couple of players there.
Yeah, yeah,
it's a local club for us again, and me and you can rock up, and they can rock up, and we can have a 4-way game or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll have to sort something out. Mate, yeah, we will. We will definitely have to do that because obviously that's so local for us. That'd be rude not to do that. So I've only got a couple of bits of news to share with you guys. Most of my internet this week has been just watching basically bloody guitar videos and playing board games. Are doing a special Guardian week for Arkham Horror the Living Card game, so I've been watching those videos every day. But again, I'm finding YouTube's it's on a bit of a dry spell. There isn't a great deal inspiring going on YouTube at the moment. But first thing
the inspirational shit I've seen on YouTube this week has been holiday related.
So, to
Trevor,
painting competition at the club will be on the 7th, mate.
It's always the first Monday of the month. The 30th of September is not the first Monday of October.
That's genius. I missed that because I was actually doing some hobby, which is unknown for me. Did you see Ewok dropped into the chat? I smell Russian uniform.
Love you, Ewok.
Yeah, your nose did not betray you. David's cracked out the Russian uniform. Yeah, so for those of you who didn't see, this is Mel, the terrain tutor. His YouTube channel's been in the doldrums probably for the last year or so, maybe a little bit longer.
I'd say probably.
I don't think he's been consistently producing content for a couple of years. I think there's been health issues and other stuff. Basically, so the only good thing from Mel's point of view, he's got a great evergreen channel because basically what he does is he shows off modeling and terrain building techniques, which actually feeds into the next thing that I'm going to share in terms of the news. So Mel's done he's done commission work for building terrain pieces for museums and that sort of thing. So he does everything from ultra realistic lifelike terrain through to practical gaming pieces. And again, a lot of his content, which goes back years, is very evergreen. It doesn't get old. The techniques are still great. The information's still valid. So there's loads. If you're not familiar with his channel, there's loads to enjoy. Even though the guy's up to nearly 200,000 subscribers, like I say, his output's been very patchy the last year or two. I think there's definitely I don't know is the honest answer, Crispin. I mean, the guy is a fairly private individual. I'm fairly sure that there is certainly mental health and probably physical health issues that have been going on the last year or two. I don't know what his income is. I mean, I know he used to do a lot of terrain commissions going back many years. Whether that's still,
I mean, some bits and pieces as well.
He's got a studio, so I mean, he does have a business location to work from. It's not like he's a fucking amateur like me and Dipstick here, who are just basically working from home.
Just you be fucking careful who you're calling dipstick, cunt.
So yeah, he published a book on terrain, which was very well received, and again it was one of them things that it was perfectly timed, because so much of our sort of sector of wargaming has moved away from the old hobby and craft stuff. We buy everything off the shelf now, and a lot of those skills were being lost. So, but anyway, the upshot of it is he's put out an appeal for help video. Basically he's several £1,000s in the hole, and he needs some help badly. And do you know what? He swallowed his pride and basically put out a video saying that he needs his help. It needs everybody's help. So you can donate money through his YouTube channel. He is monetized. He's also got a PayPal. He runs a Patreon. So you've got various ways to contribute to his.
I don't want to piss on Mel's parade, because again, he's got situations and everything in the background, but he does need to sit there and think long and hard about how long can this carry on, because it's now his second or third time, from what Ewok's just said, of asking for help and assistance. I mean, again, it is capable to do that. Look at Luke from Luke's APS, Diversified Made Geek Gaming C-Nix has now canned his YouTube channel because he's doing so well with diversifying his product range.
And well, the other thing is that I think Luke said it at the time. He just wasn't enjoying YouTube. He was struggling to make it a financially viable proposition. And obviously David and I are in the unenviable position in one way of not making any money off YouTube because we're not even monetized, but at the same token we could get to do this for the fun, the shits and giggles of it, and we both have day jobs to pay the bills.
It is not our day job. It is not by any means at all paying our bills.
Yeah, so and obviously if Mel's relying on his channel for that, then I mean again, I don't know the ins and outs of why Mel's ended up where he is, but maybe he needs to do like a Luke and say, if I'm going to do YouTube, it's going to be on a more informal level, and just the life goes another direction. Do you know what I mean? The day job becomes a different thing.
Crispin's just hit the nail on the head here. Put your content on YouTube. Patreon. Lock it behind a paywall. Get people to pay. Put teasers up. On the socials, on Instagram and everything else, because Patreon is a more guaranteed income than YouTube and ad revenue.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, interact with your clientele. Ask questions on the Patreon. Get people to drop suggestions, etc. Interact with your audience so people feel valued and people will stay.
I think the problem is like Ewok said, he suffers from depression. There've obviously been personal issues, and I think, to be fair, a lot of his issues are around the health stuff, because I think he's got as well as the depression, I think there are massive self-esteem issues now. I think that he's struggling to monetize what he's got because he hasn't got any confidence in what he's got anymore. And the whole thing's a vicious cycle. But you know what? I bunged him a tenner, which is not much, but it's something. And it's been great to see the support he has been getting. I hope he pulls through, because he's got the potential to make great content for us. And do you know what? If it all ends up locked behind a Patreon wall, maybe because I did subscribe on his Patreon for £1 a month at one point, but maybe I'll go back to him if he starts being more consistent. With the old
again,
Patreon
we're not sat here trying to be assholes. It's a real hard situation to swallow your pride and stick that shit on YouTube.
Yeah, no, the man's got, you know,
Man's got bigger balls than us.
And you know, he's asked, and what was great was like I in my Facebook feed this morning or this afternoon, I saw a Guerrilla Miniature Games gave him a share, and what's great is that obviously the other content creators are rallying behind him and trying to give him as much, you know, publicity and leverage as they can to get him out of his problem. So we'll see. Anyway, I feel feeling not obligated, but wanting to do my bit for Mel because, again, I've used his.
We've enjoyed his content. You've used his Big Burma build.
I used to back in day many years ago when there was less content on YouTube because to be fair, we are pretty spoiled now. But I used to join into his Sunday night chats and his live streams, which were quite fun. As I say, if you can afford to give him anything, go to his video and give him what help you can. And you never know, cross your fingers. Hopefully he'll pull through and get back to making some fantastic content. I want him to get on to because he's got his infamous Big Burma build where he's doing, because he's got a Chindit's army for bolt action, and he's doing like Pacific style jungle terrain and mud huts and that. And I want him to hopefully, if I've messaged him and said, yeah, can you just do me a Singapore build so that I could basically get him to do my entire bolt action terrain project, which would be awesome.
Ewok dude, just while you're here, fucking love those multi-award winning Moonstone minis you did. Jesus, dude, they look good. I need to pull my finger out and get mine done.
I was thinking that now I've painted my warband for Wild West Exodus.
I need to do some more. I need to finish my Wild West Exodus because it's sat.
I think Moonstone is going to be one of the things that I get on the table next. To paint along.
You know what? We should commit in 2025 to, you know what we were saying at club on Monday night about it's nice to play multiple games of a system back to back and learn it.
Yeah.
I think we should commit in 2025 to play the multi-award winning Moonstone every other month for the year.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Get 6 games in. Really bed it in as a system. That is a good.
Because for the other 6 games, we could do Wild West.
Yeah, that is true. We could do 2 new gaming systems in a year. Because actually, you've got the Ria Sonora. You've got quite a bit of terrain for Wild West Exodus, haven't you?
Yes.
So we could
Red
do
Oak
that.
is what I've got.
Red Oak is it? Not Ria Sonora.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just got a few more bits to finish, but yeah, I've got a chunk of it done.
So my only other news thing.
Cheese me. Fuck off. Assassin's Creed is dead. I've been playing with Pauls. Did you miss that stream?
It's dead to me.
Actually, this is an interesting topic. When we get to waffle, we'll waffle in a minute.
You see that? I think Darren's tried to be sarcastic. Darren says we should commit to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. Are you saying that we're just
cheese me
dreamers?
On that note, there was a really, really nice table at UKGE that was a snowy city, but they also had a really nice port city, didn't they? Set in like the real Caribbean vibes, didn't they?
What's that? Multi-award winning Moonstone?
Yeah, UKGE.
I don't remember a snow table. They had the port, the
snow
harbour.
table was last year.
Oh. And then they had their classic sort of like it's got like a mountain and is it and a broken
It's
observatory?
snowy. It's absolutely fucking covered in snow, my dude.
It's not.
It is. The
I
tops
don't
of the buildings and everything are snowy. I'm gonna fucking find pictures now. Fuck you. Off we go.
What? That no, yeah, no evidence didn't happen. Obviously, I don't remember. But yeah, no, I know the table. If you're saying that that's a snow table, then that's a snow table.
That's Dicini.
So yeah, my only other hot take from YouTube is this okay, Let's Talk Tabletop. Another great little 10-minute talking head piece. And the reason that I said earlier that this feeds into the Mel thing is that obviously the title's got all the clickbait there. What Wizards of the Coast and Games Workshop don't tell you, blah blah blah. But actually, what the message is that what's wargaming? We're losing our can-do attitude. Everything is now made for us by these bloody massive companies. They make all of our terrain. They design all of our products. They force feed us with releases by the bucket load every 10 minutes. And people don't... We've lost that. We're losing that improvisational, make it your own creativeness. People aren't coming up with their own scenarios. People aren't coming up with their own rules for models that they've just got that think would be cool to play with, but actually aren't in this game.
Excuse me. Don't talk for everybody else. We're doing shit.
Yeah, I know, but I think the message is I think the message is spot on. I think that the new generation of gamers, they want everything to be spoon-fed to them. They want, okay, tell me how I'm doing this. So what terrain am I buying?
What am I rolling?
How am I playing this game? Again, maybe it's just because I'm an old fart. But this video really chimed with me. Yeah, I mean, Darren says just do some scratch building. It's like my little barbed wire things here. This is like...
I thought you were about to say My Little Pony.
This is kebab sticks, plastic card, sand and PVA. I haven't done something like this for years. Prior to doing this, I literally...
You liar! What was the liar!
What was the last totally scratch built thing that I did though?
Fucking bridges for Frostgrave.
No, the bridges for Frostgrave were a kit.
No, the fucking wooden platforms and that I have in my collection.
Oh no, but yeah, okay, yeah, but that was more you did that, wasn't it? Really, to be fair. I mean, I have done some of those similar, but mine I did fucking years ago. For more time. I mean, you are right, but that was more you, because you built scaffolding and all sorts of cool shit. While you were doing that, I think I was just painting printed terrain.
The trees we did for you. The multi-modular tree basin that we did.
Yeah, but again, it was an MDF pre-cut kit with cheap Chinese trees. Do you know what I mean?
There's just no fucking pleasing some people, is there?
I mean, the problem is the companies do make it too easy for us. It's what I said. We are spoiled for choice now in so many aspects of our hobby. If you don't want to make something, you can find an STL and 3D print it. You can find a resin cast of it.
Yeah, the problem you end up with then is that you have 25 million fucking STLs and not enough hours in the day to print them.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a you issue. But
Pandy's just made a good point.
Yeah, what?
We need to build trenches.
We do, actually. Because do you know what? I was just thinking about that when we were talking about games to do next year. Because I think, as well as, because both of those games we mentioned, we have terrain that we can basically get them to the table. But what we should also do is actually make a terrain set for Trench Offensive.
Whoa, Captain Ambition.
Because, you know, if they're our game projects for 2025, that should be our terrain project for 2025.
In the room of dreams.
Why? What's he said?
Where do you store it all? Under my desk.
Okay,
under my desk. In my downstairs cupboard.
Yeah. In my spare bedroom, which is basically a massive storage
Actually,
room.
you need to do that at some point. You need to do a room tour for the guys. We both actually need to do room tours.
Yeah, that is in the works, guys. We thought what we'd do is we were talking about video ideas the other day, and I don't know if you guys be interested, but we were thinking about doing like a pile of shame video where basically we will photograph and show you how bad things are.
In Paul's situation, very bad.
David will just give us screenshots of his hard drives full of STLs.
I was going to say, just be very careful where you're headed with that.
Right, okay, David, that project may have just got a hell of a lot easier because Paul's saying that his 3D trenches will be out by Christmas.
Yeah, but let's scratch, my dudes. Let's scratch. Question: what colour's terracotta in Vallejo? Go.
Mahogany brown, 139. If you want a really, really red terracotta, cavalry brown, 137. If you want something that's a little
orange.
If you want something that's a little bit more of an orange terracotta, then you want red leather, 136.
Red leather's in the other room. Oh, fucking Vallejo, you bitch.
Yeah, I mean, those are the three colours that I would say are in the terracotta. No, Iraqi sand is not terracotta, Ewok.
Iraqi sand is Iraqi sand, Ewok.
Spam says, I don't want to see what's on his hard drive.
It's not that bad, babe.
No, he just streams it live. He doesn't save any of it.
I've got a colour. Tau light ochre. There we go. That will do.
What have you got?
Tau light ochre.
Tau light ochre? That doesn't sound very Vallejo.
It's a citadel. I'm sorry.
Get out. Get out. So I told the boys and girls I'd tell them about my windfall. So long story short, I got contacted by an old mortgage company, and back many years ago.
I'm still amazed they contacted you.
Many, many years ago, I had a bit of a nervous breakdown due to work issues, because, you know, shit happens. And obviously I ended up not working for a good 6 months or something like that. And I think we asked for help from the mortgage company. And they must have kept my cry for help on record, because they wrote to me and said, we've been reviewing our things, and when you asked for help, we lied to you and said we couldn't help, and we could have moved you to a cheaper mortgage and saved you on your interest. So as a compensation, we'd like to pay you like about 1,700 quid's worth of overpaid interest on your mortgage. So I was like, oh yeah, thanks very much. I'll take that. Cheers. So, as I say, me and the missus both got just over $1,000 each of mortgage repayment plus interest of the years since this all kicked off. How the hell they've discovered this in their records and what systems operate. I mean, so I don't know if any of you guys work in banking, but Jesus, it's I don't even know how we ended up here. But anyway, long story short, I ended up with $1,000 completely windfall, wasn't expecting it. So everybody who's a regular here will be glad to know I have invested in a new computer so that
the potato is becoming a toaster.
Yes, my dying potato is going to be put out to pasture, and I have a significantly more up-spec PC coming. It's actually being delivered tomorrow. Now, so if everything goes according to plan, I will upgrading from hamster to a rabbit.
Does that rabbit vibrate?
Yeah, somebody had to say it. What I'll do is when I stream with it, I'll put a coffee cup or something on the top so it just rattles for the whole stream. A ZX81 to a Spectrum, you got it, Ewok. Yeah, I'm not. If everything goes according to plan, I should be able to just switch the base units over. My priority is obviously going to be getting the OBS installed, getting all of my assets transferred from my old PC to my new PC, and getting it set up so that it can stream. If it doesn't go according to plan, then obviously I'll still be running on the old potato for another week. But I think within a fortnight, I should be able to get it up and running. And hopefully we'll be able to have less issues when I'm streaming with glitching audio, particularly when we're opening web pages. The only other thing that I'm hoping to be able to do with a much more powerful PC is maybe start streaming to multiple platforms so that we can simultaneously stream to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook.
Please also admit to the boys and girls the other reason you have bought a not potato PC, sir.
Well, the only other thing, when I was speccing my PC, not only did I only have a budget of £1,000, but my starting point was I did actually check at the spec what the spec required for Farm Sim 2025, which is on pre-order soon, is going to be. So I made sure that my new computer will run a farm simulator, because that's how fucking rock and roll I am.
Bearing in mind, we live in Lincolnshire, boys and girls. He could look out of his window.
Yeah, but that's voyeurism, not simulation that I could actually, take part in.
I don't know. If you ask them nicely enough, they might let you swing by.
£1,000, that's barely enough for a GPU these days. In that, if you're high flying, cheese me, yes, but my needs are only modest in so many ways. I did look at some streaming PCs, but as they started at like $3,000, I was like, okay, we're a way off that. So we dialed it back. Ewok, I was only looking at tractors. I've heard that somewhere before. You need more power. Yeah, but I only have £1,000. So pretty much the same as me, Crispin. This one cost me $150 second hand. I don't know, 5-6 years ago. So I haven't invested in a decent PC for a good long time.
It's been a while.
Maserati or Lamborghini tractors. I didn't know they did tractors, but
yeah, Lambo do tractors.
Oh, bye.
They're dog shit. It's also where Lamborghini started. Just saying.
Okay.
You learn something new every day, boys and girls.
Yeah, thank God David works in agriculture.
Worked, past tense.
Oh
now,
yeah,
sir.
of course you've moved on now, haven't you? Well,
yeah,
we are
don't
coming.
tar me. Don't tar me.
Oh God, we're coming up to 9 o'clock.
Are we?
Yeah.
All my buddies are single IT gamer dudes. Well, look at it this way, Crispin. At least it makes it easier for swinging with your misses if they're all single. You haven't got any complications.
Oh my god! Look at that! I've dropped my barbed wire. That's how shocked I am.
Did I just lower the tone too low?
Mate, it's through the fucking floor. This is really annoying.
David, do I do Blender? Why do I feel like this is a euphemism coming? No, I don't do Blender. So I am SolidWorks, Inventor, Fusion 360, and what's the fucking other one that I use occasionally? I've done a bit of Blender work, but not modeling or anything. God, no. That's like migraine central right there.
I think Blender's pitched more at an artistic modelling thing anyway, isn't it? Like freeform models.
Definitely.
You're much more engineering models.
Needed a mock-up of an STL. What do you mean, my dude? You've got me on Facebook, haven't you? Send me some messages and I'll get back to you. I can do a bit of surface modelling. But I can't do like fucking power axes and sculpting and shit like that.
I've been half expecting you to get deeper into those woods.
The thing is, this is always sort of the way that I look at it. My day job is traditional engineering, working on a computer and everything else, doing design work. If I wanted to do Blender and everything else, I would be doing that and replacing my day job. Because there is not a cat in hell's chance that I go to work for 8 hours and then spend a further 8 hours fucking around in Blender, fighting and making things work.
It's sufficiently different, all the STL manipulation and that, is it?
Yeah. It's a fucking nightmare.
That's fair.
Don't get me wrong, I've thought about learning it and starting to learn it because there's elements that I wanted to do. And I mean, again, I have done some 3D modeling for you. Like I did your exhaust the other month.
For yeah. What did you model that in?
That was in Fusion.
That was in Fusion
360.
3D. Fusion 360.
Yeah. I mean, spam's in dentistry, just saying. Little bit different. But we're getting waylaid. It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
it's main topic o'clock.
It's main topic o'clock. So to set the scene, we sort of mentioned it at the top of the show, but this concept of there being a sweet spot for player count in tabletop gaming is something that's quite common. It's very
don't lower the tone.
It's very common in board gaming. So you will often see as part of for example, if you tune into one of the YouTube channels or review blogs or anything like that covers a lot of the modern hobby board games, there will often be
Dice Tower's a case in point here. So they will review a board game and say the box says 1 to 6 players, but actually it plays best at 3 to 4.
It might be best at 3, best at 4, whatever. They will often give you a recommendation or a steer on where the manufacturers are being hyperbolic, or just genuinely, what they think works best and why. And to some degree, I think it's also a thing with role-playing games. There are all sorts of factors. I think it's a bit more fluid in role-playing games because there are many different factors that come into play when you're saying, well, what's the optimal player count? Because one of the things that can really hinge upon it is the DM and the dungeon master or games master or whatever term you want to use in your role-playing game of choice.
One versus many.
Yeah, essentially the guy running the show, that their style and their approach to running the game can influence it greatly. So it's one of them sort of things where you've got a lot more freedom as the end user to tailor what you're doing. So, for example, if you and your mate are running a solo RPG session, as the dungeon master, you can do all sorts of things that would be crazy, mad, and completely unfeasible if you were running the game for, say, 6 or 8 people. Do you know what I mean? Role-playing games definitely are a beast of their own, and they've got all sorts of unique features that we don't have in some of the other tabletop gaming spheres or products, such as wargaming and board gaming. But I think it's fair to say that historically, and I don't mean that in terms of the genre, I just mean that in terms of time in general.
The generic topic.
Yes. Wargaming has very much been a default activity for 2 people.
It's very typically very adversarial.
Yes.
And we are seeing, as we've mentioned before on the channel, a resurgence of co-op and experiences a la RPG gaming. We've mentioned that before.
To be fair, the whole cooperative thing for board gaming is relatively new as well. I think, going back 10,
but I'm saying
years,
based compared to like RPGs, because RPGs have always sort of been a cooperative experience, and we're going back to original D&D in the 70s and 80s.
To be fair, we hadn't discussed this in our preamble to the setting the stream up, and I do apologise for ignoring the chat, but I am actually doing some work, which is unheard of for me. We hadn't.
Don't worry, they're just saying about spam making people gag, so it's low as fuck right
probably a good idea. I'm not reading it out loud on YouTube for everybody to hear. So we hadn't really discussed it, but that's a fantastic observation. Like, if you take a look back in time, the thing that set the role-playing game experience apart was that the fact that it is cooperative, isn't it?
The fact that it's cooperative, the fact that it's not adversarial.
No,
you're working towards a common goal as a group.
And I know that player versus player interactions and perhaps hostile interactions between players is a thing, but I think it's very much more niche and unusual in role-playing games. Generally, they're
it's not commonplace.
No, they're highly cooperative storytelling experiences. And actually, having just made that observation, it's funny that everything's trying to squat on its fucking lawn, to use a phrase. Do you know what I mean? Cooperative gaming is becoming ever more present in board games. Because again, 10 years ago, the concept of a cooperative board game was pretty much unheard of. Board games were like 3 or 4 players sit around a table and it's best man wins. Good luck.
Have fun.
And obviously that's good because that gives it an identity. But to come back to our original point, like David says, wargaming is very much that. There are 2 players, facing off for want of a better phrase, and it's may the best man win. And that can be in a balanced, competitive scenario with a points-driven game, or it can even be, a historical. Okay, well let's attempt to recreate the Battle of this fucking hill in 1764, and you've got these troops and I've got these troops, and let's see what happens. Go. But again, the general elevator pitch is we're at war. May the best man win. Good luck.
Trevor, stop stealing our thunder. We're getting to that.
But all of that is changing, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking of board games I've got in my collection. All of them, other than Everdell, have a cooperative mode. Voidfall, you're both playing together to defeat the big bads. Yes, there is adversarial modes, but there's co-op as well. Tindaya, co-op and adversarial. Arkham Horror, fully co-op. Like, the only other adversarial game than Everdell that I have is Imperium. So Imperium is a game that I picked up this year, and actually it leads quite nicely into this topic. So because Imperium kind of builds on the game of Sid Meier's Civilization, of developing your population and building your empire out from a barbarian state to a fully fledged empire, Imperium plays well at 1, 2, 3, or 4 players. It is a true evergreen game for scaling.
You compare it's for the maximum, mate. Or does it go higher?
I'm fairly sure it is.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I just thought I'd ask.
You compare this to Arkham. Arkham is very player count sensitive because of the interactions within the game and developing the chaos bag. Yes, there are more of you to complete more actions, but because at the end of each round, each player draws 2 tokens, if the bag has only got 12 or 14 tokens in it, if you draw 2 a turn, you've got 7 to go through a full cycle. If you've got 4 of you, you've not even got a cycle and a half before the bag resets and all the bad shit that you've just been resolving, like gate bursts and everything else, go back into the bag.
Yeah.
So it is really sensitive to player count for that interaction.
And I think as well, though,
itself is traditionally brutal.
Yeah, and it's because it's designed to be cooperative. The problem is what you need is every player needs to be contributing pretty massively to the game.
Everyone needs to be on their A game.
Yeah, because it's exactly the same is true of the Arkham Horror Living Card game. If you are a new player, because again it scales with the player count, and the difficulty ramps up the more people you have sitting at your table, and it can be anything from 1 to 4. But if somebody is relatively new or a little bit inexperienced and they're not playing optimally, they will quickly drag everybody else down because the game is scaling with them just as if they're a veteran of the game who's been playing for 5 years. So you do have that issue where those sort of games are particularly punishing for new players. So and again, it might be a fair thing to say, oh well, the game works fine at 3 or 4. Yeah, that's true, as long as that's 3 or 4 veteran players who are really on their A game. If that's two experienced guys and their partners or their kids, we're all screwed. Which might be seen as a bit of a weakness of the scalability side of it.
But the intrinsic thing we touched on here is in the board game environment, as you add more players, certain elements of the game change. They either scale in difficulty, scale in the card count, etc., to bring the game time down a bit, or scale in a weird and wacky way. So, for example, Imperium scales by siphoning the communal pool quicker because everybody's shopping from that communal pool. Everdell's exactly the same. So there's elements of that in board games that are an intrinsic part of the gaming experience, whether you're playing at 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever player count you're playing at. There is different setup options. When it comes to wargaming and multiplayer wargaming, I feel that it's very wallpapered on. Very, very thin and sort of plastered on. Do you know what I mean when I say that, Paul?
Well, I think that, to be honest, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but I think we need to back up a second and say, having said that historically war games were an adversarial 1v1 thing, it now seems to be let's not go mad. Let's not say the default. It now seems to be increasingly common that we're designing our war game with multiplayer options. So we can say, okay, so this war game, we're gonna introduce a way to play it with 3, play it with 4, and this is where David comes in with his papered on comment. Most war games that we've played, and even being generous to Frostgrave, most war games we've played start to have issues when you don't play them 1v1. And that might be because you're running a specific set or type of scenario that's designed for multiple players. Or you might be, even running...
You're bumping into game time limitations.
Well, there's a thousand things that can go wrong. One of the things, like David says, is game time, play length. Okay? Now, one of the things you'll hear, this is often something that features heavily in board game reviews, where people will say, it works at 6, but it's way too long an experience. Nobody wants to play a board game for 5.5 hours. And even if every other mechanic in the game runs butter smooth, just that lengthening of the gaming experience to a point where it becomes impractical for people to enjoy in a normal life. It's not your job to sit down and play board games on the clock. That sort of thing is really important. And I was thinking about Frostgrave. Even Frostgrave, which we've enjoyed at 3, 4, 5 players, after our initial experimentation, where we had like 4-player games and we're getting nowhere. We're getting 4 turns done in 3.5 hours. We've sort of come up with a little house rule, which is have as many players as you like, but don't have more than 20 models on the table. So everybody's got to shrink their war bands down as your player count grows. So even Frostgrave, which we've just said is a great co-op multiplayer war game, even that has massive caveats on, and to step aside from the culture that seems to prevail at the moment, whereas you don't make anything up as you go along, you don't change anything, it's by the book or not at all. It's no, you need to start changing shit up.
He should do eventually, Crispin, but it's just the pay time for him, I guess.
I don't know, mate. I imagine he does. I imagine he does.
He won't necessarily see all of it, but...
Yeah, Darren agrees. So Stargrave has the same issue. Well, as they're the same under the bonnet, I'm not surprised.
I tell you another colour that's fucking terrible. I'm discovering them all tonight. Bright orange.
What's that?
Vallejo. Bright orange. Fucking terrible.
Yeah, well, it's not coverage, you mean?
Just generically.
It's basically a wash, isn't it?
Well, I'm currently tarring it on, and even that's not really working.
It's not actually painting anything.
I don't know if that's coming out particularly well. I'll go down after, but
yeah.
I'm just tarring it on to cover over the base coat that I put on, knowing that the colour is shit.
Yeah. And I don't really know what's. We played a really good 3-player game, because here's the other thing, right? We played an actually quite good game of Carnivale the other week that was 3-player.
Yeah, you and Spam.
It was a
fucking awesome.
It was a multiplayer scenario written specifically to work for, more than 2 players. But actually, it was a bit of a cheat, because all that happened was, instead of it being player A and player B was split into players B and C, and they had half the points each. So it was still like Force A versus Force B. It's just that Force B was piloted by 2 completely separate people. And this is what we mean about...
No, I don't, Trevor, because it's shit, because it's Citadel. It splits. All oranges are terrible.
This is... It's like this is the pasted on thing though, isn't it, mate? It's like it is multiplayer, but only in name if you squint your eyes and don't look too closely.
The other thing I find, like Drop Zone, we've played a couple of 3-player games of Drop Zone, or 4-player games of Drop Zone, haven't we?
Yep.
And they've been pleasant enough experiences.
Yeah.
They have a deployment map for 2 players, and then they have a deployment map for 3 or 4 players.
Yeah.
So it's there and detailed in the rule books from a core point of view that, yes, this particular scenario you can play at 2, 3, or 4 players. Happy days. Fine. The other thing I find, because Drop Zone is not a cooperative game.
Yeah.
It is an adversarial game.
Mega adversarial.
If you play particularly with 3, you always end up with an odd one out. So either somebody not being interacted with because they're not particularly a threat, or 2 players at the table identify the threat and decide to start working together to kick the living shit out of it. Unlike Commander, where you can rebuild from being had the shit kicked out of you if your deck's good enough, Drop Zone doesn't allow you to.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
Drop Zone you've had your face kicked in.
Yeah.
Deal with it, bitch.
Do you know what? That is such a good point. So, like, for those who don't know, Commander is a format of Magic the Gathering, which is a card game, because there may be people on the internet who are watching this who do not know what he's on about. So Commander is a format of Magic the Gathering, the card game, which is specifically multiplayer. Magic the Gathering is a 2-player head-to-head card game, but there is a 4-player multiplayer variant called Commander. Now, one of the things that is built into the DNA of Commander is 4 is given as the ideal player count for a game, because it's such a degenerate, broken form of Magic. It's very easy for somebody to to get
Looking at
very,
you,
very,
Cranko.
very fast. Hello, Tim. Good to see you, sir. It's very easy for somebody to get into a position of massive dominance very quickly because the game is just degenerate, broken shit. And the thing is, anybody who plays Commander knows that we're up for some degenerate, broken shit.
You kind of signed up for it when you decided to play Commander.
But one massive dimension of Magic is that everybody who plays Commander knows this. So everybody's watching the table and building alliances. Right, we need to go against this player because they're getting ahead. So, and the sort of like that element of player interaction where you're all working together to stabilize the game state, knock down the tall poppy, keep everything on an even keel so that the game goes to a satisfying conclusion. It's baked into it. The game format was designed exactly with that gameplay in mind, and this is how you avoid the pasted on feel that comes, in my opinion, from a lot of multiplayer variants of wargames.
Because it forms an intrinsic part of it.
When you design your game, whatever it is, with the whole multiplayer experience in mind from day one, you are likely to have a successful outcome. The problem with wargaming is that is rarely, as far as I can perceive, done. Most war games start from the me versus you, go.
I think the best one I can think of is probably Gaslands.
Good shout.
Because it's such degenerate shit and people bring in broken combos. Looking at you, fucking Idris with Nos on motorbikes because you're fucking heathens. It's, do you know what I mean?
That is a good shout. I would give you Gaslands is a war game where
player count what forms part of the design brief that it can be whatever player count. Do you know what I mean? They didn't give a hard and fast. We want this to play best on 2v2.
Although though, hang on, devil's advocate. Are we still running into the don't bring too many cars, don't go for too many cans because otherwise we'll be doing this fucking game all night?
But I think that is only true of certain game modes, right?
Right, okay.
And the reason I say this is Death Race. If you're playing it 2-player, it's very just kick the shit out of your opponent and have fun.
Yeah.
Once you're the only car on the table, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There are other game modes like Saturday Night Live that do not in any way seem to play very well at 2-player, particularly with 50 can lists and only bringing a car or 2 each.
Okay.
If you had 4 or 5 players, it will work better.
Okay.
Because there's more cars to interact with, because you can only score objectives when you're within medium range of an opposition car.
So again, it's fair to say that the game has modes that work better for multiplayer, but at least they are there and they do work well for higher player counts. I mean, I was thinking about Drop Zone Commander. The only 3-player game I can remember, and I know I've played more than one. The last one I remember was me, Ricky, and Luke, I think, and it had exactly the issue that you ran into, where Ricky and Luke ended up butting heads early on. Luke came out the worse for Ricky against Ricky's models, and that basically took him out of the game. Then it was me versus Ricky, and it didn't feel like a good 3-player game. Do you know what I mean? Where every player has a part to play, and every player is engaged. The early game was all them two, and then it was all me and Ricky, and it was very much broken into parts, which I don't think is a good sign. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, mate. I'll tell you something we haven't touched on. Obviously, we've touched on here, and we did mention it briefly, but we've touched on what's it called? Adversarial and 2-player.
Yeah.
We've touched on multiplayer
Yeah.
briefly now. The other one and the other method that springs to mind is this one versus many that Mantic seem to do a lot with League of Infamy and what's it called? Dungeon Saga.
Yeah, Dungeon Saga.
Where you have a group of players and a game master.
Yeah, I mean, and this is lifted straight from the role-playing game playbook, isn't it?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is that ever? Could you see that working in a tabletop war game?
I think yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You have me interested.
If the game is done in such a way where you're cooperatively competing to complete objectives, a la Exploit Zero that we played at Hereward.
Yep.
Yeah, the cyberpunky one.
Yeah.
Where the players are interacting to complete objectives as a group.
Yeah.
And then there is a DM playing the bad guys.
Yeah.
I think that works, and that is a good play experience. But it does take a certain caliber of person to be a GM.
Yeah.
And know that I'm probably not winning this game.
To be fair, maybe this is where we come back around to that Carnivale scenario. Because would that I can't remember exactly what it was, but would that Carnivale scenario work just as well if I'd have had 200 ducats and you'd have had 3 players with 70 each? Still one versus many?
Possibly, because again, you know what our objectives are, we know what your objective is.
Again, though, to be fair, though, that is like effectively you're just still doing the pasted on thing. You've still got 2 forces. It's just that one of them's broken up into 3 parts and the other one stands.
Yeah, no, I like my suggestion was
your thing's much more. Again, it's much more designed that way, isn't it? I think again you need to.
But again, this comes back to hitting the nail on the head. That your game has to be designed
with that in mind. Yep. And I think that is where we're going with this. I mean, looking back at games like fucking Warhammer Fantasy Battles had the Triumph and Treachery thing. So Triumph and Treachery was a multiplayer option that was released as a supplement for Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and it used a hand of cards that you could play for effects during the game. In each phase of the game, whether that's the movement phase, shooting phase, you had to choose one player as your enemy and the other players you effectively couldn't interact with. It was pretty much the definition of pasted on.
Yeah.
And I don't think it. I mean,
it didn't work. It was fucking terrible.
Feel free to roast me in the comments, but I just don't think it was worth playing. I think we played it once. I think you were doing yourself a disservice.
I remember distinctly the one time I think that we played it.
Yeah, we did try it once.
That because it went to like turn 6, I wanted to attack you and whoever we were playing with. I think it was probably V.
Yeah.
But because I could only name one of you, I had to make the decision basically of, am I handing this game to V or am I handing this game to Paul?
Yeah. And again, it just didn't work. And
no.
I think that we need, again, this is our negative Nancy hot take that pretty much echoes what we said last week about campaign gaming and, bloody...
Actually, I've got a point on that in a second to add. We'll come to that and player counts in a minute.
I just think that we need to stop chasing this. There are loads of different gaming experiences to be had in the hobby sphere, in the tabletop hobby. War games work best as 1v1 experiences or teams 2v2, but effectively two forces battling each other.
What I do want to just add into this,
go on,
into your comment, I am not au fait to having a solo war game where the AI control the other player that I'm playing against, a la Space Station Zero or 5 Parsecs, for example.
Yeah.
5 Parsecs is probably a bad example because it is meant to be like a true solo. But Space Station Zero, you can play you and your friend trying to complete the same shit as well. So I think that works because it allows you to play solo if you've only got the time to play the game solo or play cooperative, but it isn't trying to be anything it isn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
by adding in special rules for...
Darren is probably screaming into the chat. It's probably an endless...
No, Darren's not. Darren's happy with Rangers game as my opponents won the scenario with the final roll of the game.
Because Darren's a big proponent of the 5 leagues and 5 parsec systems, the solo war games, and for me to say, the wargaming should be a 1v1, blah blah blah. I'm not. I have to be honest.
Yeah, but even
and say that I haven't played solo war games.
5 parsecs solo is 1v1. It's you versus the AI, a la a desktop computer game.
True. I guess again, we're doing the 1v1, but with a patch
for the fact that there's only one player.
For the fact that there is no player 2. Like you say, it's an AI, either some sort of random system or a deck of cards or a simple rule to follow. Yeah, I just think that is the truth of it. And again, feel free to roast me in the comments. I think wargaming is an experience best shared with 2.
I would like to wade in here because you just mentioned campaigns.
Yeah, go on.
And we covered this in pre-stream.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
There is, if you're playing a narrative campaign or a league or whatever the fuck you want to label it as, whatever it actually is, whatever it's masquerading as, you need to be intrinsically careful about your player count, but also your play time. You can have a 50-person tournament if it is a 24-hour event and it's done and dusted in a day, because it's done in a Swiss style and everybody's paired with everyone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got some mechanism. You've got some mechanism with deciding who's the winner within a very short frame of time.
And again, you can have 6, 12, 18-month-long campaign games if there's only 2 or 3 of you and you are all really invested in that game. Take our Red King scenario that we're currently playing.
Which we're playing with 3 and is working fine.
But
I'd like also
to get into a dangerous situation where you play a narrative campaign, you say it's going to go for 3 months or whatever, or a Blood Bowl league, for example, and people start backing out.
Yeah. the more cats you've got to herd, the less likely it is. And the reason this is probably pertinent here is that you might say, oh yeah, but we've got 3 players that we want to, you know, we're playing with 3 because this person's a spare and needs to have a game or whatever. Okay, fine. But I mean, if there's 4 of you, don't play a 4-player game. Play 2 2-player games. Do you know what I mean? It's
You'll
like,
get a better play experience.
just do yourself a favour. Just, you know, just improvise. We haven't got enough terrain. Well, just fucking improvise something. But just do.
I mean, again, you could even play 2x2 on the same board with the same terrain.
Yeah,
like
I guess.
1v1.
Yeah, leave half.
You could
Shrink
do
shrink your
that,
armies down so that it's not shoulder to shoulder standing room only, and play a 2v2 game. Yeah, that's again. Just honestly, do yourself a favour.
But the point I'm trying to make here is, it is such an player count and balance of player count is such an intrinsic part of our hobby to make the games an enjoyable experience, or to make a tournament an enjoyable experience, etc. It is really worth bearing in mind and considering.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it can so easily just slip off that precipice and fucking spiral down into death.
I mean, if people ask me now, do you want to play in the Blood Bowl League? My default answer is no. If somebody says, do you want to play a single Blood Bowl match, 1 million gold, then yeah, I'm fine. But I've been involved in too many leagues that go nowhere, and you know, spirals of decline that lead to frustrating games, and the only sort of we've got Red King that's on the boil at the moment. 3 players, it's working fine.
I'll tell you the other thing we've got at the moment that's working really well.
Yep.
The Arkham Horror LCG that me and you are playing.
Yep.
Me and you are the predominant fixture each and every week, each and every session.
But we
have had some sessions where we've had just me and you playing.
Yeah.
We've had an extra 2 people drop helicopter in.
Yeah. And we are completely homebrewing that, because that is not any kind of official way to play that game. No. Again, you know, we are making it work by coming up with it, by basically doing our own thing with it.
By hook or by crook.
Yeah. I mean, again, I had my recent campaign of Realm of Chaos, where V and I played. We only played 3 games with all the associated modelling and messing about before my warband leader. Spoilers. Put your fingers in your ears if you don't want to know the outcome. If you want to follow in my project, before my leader got killed. But and do you know what? There was just 2 of us, and it worked. And do you know what I mean? We steered the ship. Would it have worked if there'd been 4 of us? Probably not. You know. I still. I am very much of the opinion that wargaming has a sweet spot for its player count, and that sweet spot is 2.
I've just had a fucking genius idea as well. We've mentioned this on stream before. If you are lucky enough to have a local gaming club where games are played and people are interested in the game you are playing, and you have the opportunity to play multiple opponents, not simultaneously, but
Yeah.
one week I could, for example, be playing Trevor, then the next week could be playing Ricky, the week after I could be playing V, and then the week after that I can be playing Paul. Fucking do it. Have a pleasurable experience doing those games as 2-player experiences between you and your opponent.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, do not tack 5 players together and expect to get the same gaming experience.
Yeah. And if you want a 5-player gaming experience, do your research, treat yourself to one of the boutique board games, of which there are tens of thousands on the market, that plays well at 5, plays well at 4. Yeah? There's hundreds of the bloody things. And, you know, thank us in the morning. But for wargaming, it's a 2-player thing. It always has been.
Thought that was
always will
something
be.
that was really good to sort of add in from like our experience.
Definitely. And do you know, here's another thing. I mean, I think again, I haven't really played enough of it, because if I want a solo, see, here's the other thing. If I want a solo gaming experience, I've got a PC, games consoles, and card games like Arkham Horror. I really don't do miniatures games as a solo experience. I mean, I did the Assassin's Creed videos and I've started that, but even that's tailed off because David and I have started Assassin's Creed together, and I'm more keen to continue and explore the story with him than play it through solo myself. Yeah, and leagues are fine, but leagues are one of those things where they're an idea that sounds better than it often is in reality.
And again, we did mention this last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as campaigns. The commitment that something like that requires is just often impractical for our hobby. I mean, Jesus Christ, our hobby is time intensive, space intensive, money intensive in some instances, but certainly time and space. It doesn't matter whether you're playing, I'll be honest, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Frostgrave or Games Workshop. The price difference might be a factor of 100, but you're still going to need a 4 foot by 4 foot table or 3 foot by 3 foot table. You're going to need a shitload of terrain. You're going to need 20 or 30 models. You need a collection of monsters for Frostgrave. You know, for Games Workshop, you might need 40.
You're being disingenuous there, because you need 60, 70 miniatures for a GW game. But...
Well, no, I was going to say for a GW game, you still need whatever. I think that it starts to become hair splitting you know, and even if you take a game like Malifaux, oh, well, I only need 7 miniatures, and I only need 7 miniatures. Yeah, you do, but you still need a fucking 3x3 board and a shit ton of terrain, and the time to play a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
With setup, tear down, list building, you know. Yeah, you do, Crispin. You do need to hit your club soon, mate. I'll be honest, David and I do have our like Saturday night gaming, and we get together away from club. But having that network of players to because again, there are games that I play that David isn't really driven to, or isn't really engaged with. I've played Kill Team at the club, and David honestly probably doesn't give a shit about Kill Team.
No, it's a GW product. I'm not giving them my money. But by the same token, you're super invested in Malifaux. I've said to you about getting a demo game in, and then we just haven't got round to it because we're too busy on everything else. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm just scrolling back through chat, and Darren says he's run Rangers of Shadow Deep with him being a games master and 2 others each doing co-op. And he was happy with the game. Oh, so that's the bit you read out where he said he was happy with that game as his opponent run the star. You see, that's the kind of game that you just dream about. I love those sort of games where it's won in the last game of Firefight I played with Ricky. It was won in the last movement of the last activation I made. I just moved my Forge Father model, and I basically got within an inch and a half or engaged one of his models and killed it. And it was just like, it literally came down to that last interaction. And those games are where you just literally, it's all on a knife edge until the last roll of the dice. They're so satisfying.
I'll tell you the other thing on that front, though.
Yeah.
Having 3 players means that's less likely to happen.
Yeah. Do you know what?
You've got
point.
A Kingmaker.
Very fair point. Yeah. That is a very fair point, mate. Because, again, if you've got 2 players dancing along a knife edge with relatively even skills and the dice play ball and you don't get any random spiking that favours one player massively over another, how much more unlikely is that with 3 players or 4? Unless, a la Magic the Gathering's Commander game, that mechanism is built into the game. I suppose that is the only pushback. It is unlikely, unless the players go
multiple times this evening.
Yeah.
There is very few games where it's fucking built in and balanced.
No, exactly. The players have to be working, because again, if you don't do that in Commander, if everybody sits in their little bubble and said, no, I'm not building any alliances, I'm not attacking him just because you tell me to, it's like, well, we're all going to fucking lose in about 2 turns then, so that's going to be fun, eh? You're right. You know, ultimately, the players are the agents to make things what they are. And maybe that's true of multiplayer miniature wargaming. Maybe the key to it is it can work, but you're going to need to. It's not a job for newbies. Do you know what I mean? Maybe
it's a curated experience.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. It's like,
and
when you're a veteran at a particular game, you can start to build
completely full circle back to Arkham that we mentioned at the start of the game.
Right.
You can play that, but if you're not bringing your A game, i.e. you do not know your game, you're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah. I mean, again, that is, I suppose, the definition of, because it's co-op, the players make it either the world's hardest game or the world's easiest game by working as a completely, you know, as a flawless team, or basically just dithering and doing their own thing, in which case you will be screwed.
No, but again, I found that quite interesting that we've managed to come full circle.
Right back to where we started. I mean, I haven't. Apologies to you guys if we haven't been as engaged in the chat. If you're catching us later on YouTube, you can sit shouting at the screen. They're saying that in the chat. They made a really good point in the chat, because the chat's, you know, the chat's as much for you as it is for us. We've set our stall out. Tell us we're wrong. Get in the comments and say, no, you're fucking wrong. Multiplayer wargaming is the new. It's the next big thing. We're all going to be playing 6 people round a table. It's going to be like D&D but on steroids, with everybody having 40 minutes.
Oh, don't even get me started on the meme of D&D and scheduling a session.
But
because again, that's something we've not even touched on. The more players you add, the harder it is to get a game.
Well, yeah, well, we did sort of mention it in leagues, but you're right. Without actually stating it out loud, that is one of the massive problems of role-playing games. The bigger your group gets...
I'm free a week on Tuesday and next Wednesday. Yeah, but that doesn't work for me because I'm doing something with little Johnny.
Again, It's 5 minutes to go. Troy Rhodes. What about games like Moonstone? You can play multiplayer. Okay. Do you know what, Troy? Well, I've played one game of Moonstone, and that was 2-player. I haven't played multiplayer Moonstone. That may be the absolute hot take of the evening. I'm going to have to defer to your superior knowledge. Before we've got 5 minutes, does anybody want to weigh in on that? Are David and I sitting here with egg on our faces because Moonstone is the game that does? Tim, thank you for that at yellowbellytabletop. You're wrong.
Pray tell, German. Explain yourself.
Well, I every time I say get in the comments and tell us we're wrong, Tim just does that. I don't know if you've noticed, it is just a thing that he does.
No, to be fair, I tuned him out.
Yeah, Darren, I did play the Christmas scenario of multi-award winning Moonstone with 4 players. We had 2 minis each as per scenario. So again, Moonstone's ahead of the game there. They realise that bringing, what is it? Is it 6 miniatures, 5 miniatures for a full warband?
6, isn't it?
So they obviously said, you need to tone it down, otherwise we'll be playing all night. Great design, great scenario design. But again, does this? I'm gonna say it. Does this sort of like mean that David and I are right? Because what that 4-player bespoke scenario was something specific. 2 models per player, do this, blah blah blah. It's a curated variant of the game. We're talking about, and I don't know if Troy, you'll have to clarify, Troy, is when you're saying you play Moonstone multiplayer, is it you just play, whatever the normal play mode is for Moonstone, but just with 4 players instead of 2 or 3? Does it work with odd? Because again, that's another thing. Does it work with odd numbers of players? Do 3 and 5 play as well as 4? The game is played by the players and it can be fun with Modiphius Fallout. Oh, talking about Modiphius has just reminded me. Those of you who tuned in probably 3 or 4 weeks ago would have realised that when David had his delivery finally fulfilled by Modiphius that he'd been waiting for since I was in short trousers, it was delivered by Zartu Games. And Zartu appear to have branched out into Kickstarter fulfillment as well, because my Maladum, I got a notification to my mobile, your Zartu delivery is due today, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I haven't ordered anything. I haven't ordered anything from Zartu since fucking January. What are they sending me? Well, apparently they do Kickstarter fulfillments now. So do you know what? Good on Zartu. They've got the customer service team. They've obviously got the logistics down pat. I've never had problems with ordering from them. And if they can sell that service to other people, fucking bang on. It's good to see a good company doing well, is all I can say.
Do you want to know the other thing? I'm actually quite happy they're out in the arse end of nowhere in fucking Norwich. Because it shows that it doesn't matter where the fuck you are in the country, you don't need decent transport links to do stuff properly.
Yeah. Just because, well, again, their distribution place might be somewhere in fucking Milton Keynes or Leicester, mightn't it?
No, I'm fairly sure it is Norwich.
You think that it's all coming from?
My parcel said it was from Norwich.
Okay, so Troy's clarified again. Defer to you, mate, because we've not really explored Moonstone yet. Spent a ton of money. We've done the Wargamer thing. Spent a ton of money on it. Not really played it yet. So apparently it's Moonstone does the Frostgrave thing, but it's actually hard coded. You scale the number of models for your multiplayer games? And do you play as teams, Troy, or is it literally every man for himself, 3 or 4, just grab the moonstones and fuck off? Probably very similar to Frostgrave, really.
Probably. I've got a feeling that I'm going to have to repaint some helmets. And on that note, I think it's time to end stream.
Yeah. We'll leave David touching up his helmets.
My helmets are a bit streaky.
Right, it's time, guys. Thank you. If you stay till the end, we greatly appreciate it. First of all, we'd like to applaud these individuals over here to my right as you're looking at it, left as I'm sitting here. The chat, because these are the stars of the show. Thank you very much to every single one of you who was in tonight. It's been great having you with us. If you can only find time to do a single thing, please click the like button. Gets the video some upvotes and pushes it just a touch in the YouTube algorithm. Obviously, all of the other YouTube friendly things are listed below: sharing, commenting, subscribing. Do what you feel like you want to do. Comments are always welcome. And again, comments particularly about the topic if you're watching later. Because again, opinions is what we opinions like arseholes. We've all got one. Share yours with the world. That's what fucking internet's for. That's what we invented it for.
Paul, what you've just done there is a porno advert. I'm just saying.
Right, okay. So, with that said, and David touching his helmets up, I think we better go before we get ourselves into
Bully
more
him
trouble.
next week, guys. Bye.
See you next week, Tim.